What's up, everyone? It's Jeremy Majors here with Majors Academy Dog Training out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And this is Dog Behavior Q&A 148, where we take your best questions and try and answer them to the best of our ability. And we encourage any and all questions because we know that, or please know that your questions will help others who may be struggling with the same thing. I guarantee you, 99% of the time, you aren't alone with the challenges you're having with your dog. All right. So let's jump right in and answer some questions. Okay. Okay, first question comes from Shelly. What do you do when you have a younger pup who growls at people? 4 to 5 months old. What would be proper correction, or should there be no correction? I believe it's fear aggression, but not sure what to do. The pup is a larger mix from a shelter. Thanks. Love your show. Well, if you are uncomfortable correcting your dog being that young, then what you have to try and do is teach the dog in a way who you are in other areas. If the dog is nervous about other people in your presence, then that means you two have work to do when it comes to who the dog thinks you are. Does the dog think you're a friend? Or does the dog actually think that you can lead them, him or her? It is him, right? You didn't say him or her. And those things can be solved in other areas. Is the dog your equal? Does the dog look at you as your equal? Or does the dog look to you as its parent or leader? Friendship should be subsequent to teacher and leader. And so very young, which means it can learn pretty quick, but you have to be who you need to be. You have to be who the puppy needs you to be in order for the puppy to get over its fear. Because once the dog hits around 10 months, 11 months, 12 months, you may see a dog who decides to become outwardly aggressive or assertive aggressive. So, make sure the dog listens to you with simple things like come, no, no jumping, no barking, things like that. You will hear me say that multiple times throughout this podcast because I truly believe that when you're correcting a behavior, especially when it comes to fear aggression, we don't necessarily, especially if you're uncomfortable with correcting a dog, you don't necessarily have to correct the dog in that area. Because we have this we're confused about what a correction is, and we want to be clear on that. A correction can be just saying no. Just something as simple as saying, hey, or its name. A correction is not something that has to do with physical punishment. But again, if you want, when you say the dog's name or no to mean something, then other areas is where you can help make things a lot easier for the dog to listen to you when it really counts. Okay. Thank you for your question. I hope that helps. We are live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, just so you know. Just so you know. And hold on. Let me pull up our live stream here. While that's loading, we'll answer some more questions. Okay. This question is for Taylor. My 2-year-old lab picks on my 10-month-old puppy. He is starting to get aggressive with him as far as grabbing his neck fat and pulling him around to the point where he screams in pain. I have my 2-year-old on a shock collar when I'm home and will shock him once he starts doing it, but that doesn't affect him. I've tried kindling him when I can catch him in the act. He still does it. I don't know what else to try. Help. All right, Taylor. Well, the dog may need a heavier correction or a different correction coming from the e-collar. So check what level you're working at with your e-collar. Make sure it's turned up to the appropriate level, and that is the level that works, depending on the dog. For example, if you have e-collar that goes up to that has 100 levels, and you're working at a level 20, then you should work up to past that. Try 10 levels more than that. Make sure you have a collar that can be versatile. We want to be as gentle as possible, but as firm as necessary with any tools that we use. And so, yeah, you can teach that dog that that's not okay, but it does have to be the appropriate correction. So feel free to give me more details, and I can help you further. All right. Thank you for your question. Okay. Hold on, guys. All right. Let's see if I can get this right. Stupid. There we go. All right. Holly says, I'm dog sitting for a friend, and it's not the first time. He's usually pretty easy, but an anxious dog in general. This is the first time I've seen the dog show leash aggression and bite at me. We switched to a prong collar today. The prong is very effective. Any tips for a short time with a dog showing leash aggression? Is it a leash aggression towards dogs or humans? Either way, the dog must be respectful of your rules on the walk. Okay, so here's a couple of rules that I use. No sniffing, no peeing, and no pulling. Loose leash walking. And if you want to stop reactivity, if the dog is very cautious of the environment, by walking the way that I suggested will make you mean more than the environment. And that's what has to happen. So give me a little bit more details if you want, and I can help you further with that. But the dog needs to learn how to respect rules on the walk in order for any sort of behavior that's not right to improve. All right. I appreciate your question, though. Kylie says, hey, Jeremy, what's your suggestion to make a dog stop chasing cats? We have two dogs and two cats. The dogs never hurt the cats, but like to chase them. One of the cats does mess with the dogs and I think likes to be chased. Um, well, I think maybe that what your dogs need to kind of learn is impulse control. That'd be good. So, one of the things that I teach my dogs is the place command. And if they are sort of feeding off of each other, the dogs feeding off of each other, you may have to uh, separate them while working on one. So, work on one at a time and then bring them together once they both get it really well. Um, but the cats need to be able to, sort of walk around. Now, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you what to do if the cats are provoking the dogs to chase, because that's kind of unfair. But my approach would still be the same. My approach would be to have the dogs do something that I would that I would want them to do, just like a job, and allow the cats to kind of move around and stuff like that without without the dogs getting up. And if the dogs decided to get up, then you would administer a correction and put the dog back on the bed, eventually portraying to the dog that um, you're not going to get what you want to get out of this scenario, and that kind of opens up a lot of doors for the dog to eventually not care about the cats roaming around. So because again, you're teaching the dog how to sort of control that uh, need to want to you know go after your cats. Does that make sense? Thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another. You're very welcome. Okay, guys, we're live here on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. So if one of these things crash, this is why I do this. If one of these things crash, you can go, if you really want to watch, you can go to the other social media outlets and continue to watch. But I've had some good luck. So, okay. Emily says, how do you introduce a fear aggressive dog like Chase to someone who will be pet sitting inside our house? Well, have the person you are um, allowing to pet sit, have them walk them, and then have them do the place command. You know, get the dog to respect him first, and then he'll start to open up to him eventually. Tell the person not to worry about petting the dog. Allow Chase to get comfortable enough to really seem excited about seeing him. Structure first, respect first, and then friendship comes after that. If the dog knows how to listen, then the dog will take direction from a stranger. We do this here all the time. One of my, well, not one of, the only person that comes and lets out my dogs and my training dogs, Madique, she um, comes in and she knows exactly how to let out my dogs and the training dogs. And they have never met her before. Um, and she gives them a protocol to be let out. She doesn't pet, she doesn't give treats, she doesn't do any of that. And the dogs who are human aggressive, they don't bite her. So it's more about how well the dog listens. If you can get him to listen better to you, that will help. And Oh yeah, that'd be great for Tide. Um, but yeah, that's what I would do. Get the get that person to the respect is the number one thing. Respect will keep you safe, not friendship. Dogs bite friends. uh, Dogs don't bite people they respect though. I don't get bit because that is the my approach. Respect first. I respect you, you respect me. We'll get to know each other real slow. But I'm not touching you if you don't want me to touch you. Like that's just common sense. People automatically want to touch dogs and feed them in order for them to they think that the dog will like them. Well, the dog could be really hungry, you know, not that they like you. It's just they want to eat. So, um, like I said, get that dog, the person that's pet sitting, to get your dog to listen, respect him, and everything else becomes better after that. All right. Thank you for your question, and feel free to ask as many as you like. Okay, let's keep it moving. I'm excited, guys. On Sunday, I've got two Great Danes who are brothers, not like blood brothers, but they live in the same house and they're fighting each other. And so this will be interesting. I'm gonna try and see if I uh, get a lot of it on film because I think it'll be interesting. But um, apparently, since the time I spoke to the woman and now, it's even got worse. Them two just really don't trust each other. So we'll try and you know, I guess you know, help educate as much as possible when it comes to those two because it happens a lot. Young dog, older dog, and they're trying to figure things out. Okay. All right. My dog has been out of a kennel while I'm at work and does extremely well. I've had I've had sleeping outside of it as well. However, now when I try to put her in the kennel for any reason, she barks loudly. It's been about a week, and I've timed her bark. She stops at around 5 minutes. How long will it take for her to be okay with going in there again at different times? Is there anything else I can do aside from wait it out? Uh, yeah. There's always two ways, and then maybe a mixture of both. So there's three ways. But the third way is a mixture of waiting it out and telling her what to do. So the first way is just telling her what to do. And you can tell her to sit, you can tell her to down, but tell her to do something. And then the second way is to wait her out. You don't have to tell her to sit, you don't have to tell her to down. In the second way, you can just wait it out and you will hear her bark for 5 minutes, which is crazy. Um, and then there's the third. You can tell her to sit or down and wait it out. All three ways will get it done. Um, I'll probably pick the third one and the first one before the second one. Waiting out for 5 minutes is extreme, annoying. Um, but I have done it and I do it. I do wait dogs out a lot. I really want them to really waste their energy mentally and and teach them that what they're doing isn't going to get them what they want. because they want. The barking is to get something that she wants. She wants your attention. She wants out of the crate. She wants something. And if her needs are met, then the wants really shouldn't be mistaken for a need. Because when a want is mistaken for a need, then you get a dog who cries wolf. So if her needs are met, no reason to bark. Keep her quiet. Sit down. Sit down. Something like that. I'm doing a seminar March. Well, actually, I'm doing a seminar this weekend for Misfit Mutts Rescue. And I am putting the word out there that I do want to do more seminars this year. My son's gotten a little bit older, so it frees me up. But just so you know, the seminars for rescues are free, um, and it's about a 2 hour seminar, and we can talk about whatever the hell you want to talk about, and we can work whatever dog you want me to work. So keep that in mind. In March, the end of March, I'm going to Pennsylvania, and I am doing a seminar in Pennsylvania for a rescue, and I'm going to be working 10 dogs and teaching 70 people. So that ought to be fun. I love doing it. So if you know of a rescue that would be interested on learning how to deal with difficult dogs, tell them to hit my line. Tell them to DM me. Ty is a rescue-ish. No, 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 no. I didn't say a rescue dog. I'm talking about a rescue organization. He will be a good example. No, he won't. No, Tide is not the average dog. uh, Tide is not the average dog. Okay, let's keep it moving. My dog recently started acting so weird. About 3 weeks ago, he became very spooked, climbed over the back of the couch to get on it, where he isn't allowed, refused to come in the house, even though he prefers inside to outside, tail between legs, running upstairs, etc. Totally freaked out. And we thought he saw something outside. Maybe anyways, we checked all over, didn't find anything, looked for a snake. Nope. Now it has happened nearly every night since though. Then and at roughly the same time, 6:30 and 7:30. We thought maybe afraid of the stove, but nothing triggered it. Just out of nowhere, help. He's climbing the walls. What the? Climbing the walls. Um, all right. Something did spook him outside. I mean, that's pretty much apparent. Um, Something spooked him outside. What you're just going to have to do is spend time with him outside and around that time. So that's only 30 minutes, 6:30 to 7. Spend time with him outside, even if you have to put him on leash, and the be the person that sort of says, "Hey, we're good. It was a one-time thing. Now we're fine." Along with that, um, making the dog be patient with thresholds is very key. Do not let the dog scratch the door to come inside. You determine when the dog comes inside, not the dog. And then when you open the dog should not burst inside the house. You should make the dog sit and wait for about 10 seconds. That's really going to help the dog again be not be able to escape whatever made it fearful. So now it's more about, I guess, the environment. something happened around that time, and now the environment that looks like um, the environment is sort of like a picture, right? And then if the picture looks like, you know, the whatever provoked the scare, then the dog's just afraid of the picture now, even though the thing isn't there. So, I mean, that would be my approach. No dogs come here and are allowed to scratch on my door to come in. I have them all on a timer and I can watch them all through a camera. And again, I want them to be able to be comfortable in the backyard if they have no reason not to be. I mean, if they have no reason, yeah, not to be. I think I said that right. So that would be my suggestion. Sarah says Maisie scratches at the back door when she's ready to come in. How do we eliminate this behavior? I can't be standing by the door 24/7. Open the door, tell her no, give her a vibration on the e-collar, and then wait 2 minutes and then let her in. Um, I definitely worked on that. Um, I definitely worked on that while she was here, so she knows it. So it shouldn't take very long. You know what I'm saying? So vibrate button, and you kind of want to, if you can peek at her from like a window without her noticing you doing so, then that would be a good approach. But you kind of want to wait until she's like totally like laying down outside and just totally chilling before you let her inside. That would be the that would be the goal. Like the, what you want to strive for is a dog that is patient about coming back inside. If there's no need to come back inside, it's not raining, it's not snowing, it's not cold, it's not this and that, then the dog should just be able to chill outside until you're ready for the dog to come inside. So there you go. Give Maisie a hug for me. Cool. Let me know how it goes. Keep me updated. Okay. Let's see what else we got. So let's talk about the American Bulldog for a second. I think people have a think this needs to be said. But first, let's answer this question. Tips on bringing home a new baby with our two dogs. Keep them separate for about a month. If your dogs are friendly, that's a good amount of time, a month. Try and keep them separate as best you can. You really want to be safe, keep them separate. Allow the dogs to smell the baby from a distance, hear the baby from a distance, um, get used to the new lower position on the totem pole from a distance. Do not allow the dogs to just come right up to the baby. And that's what I would do. Keep them separate. Let that transition be a nice, slow one for your baby's sake, too, obviously. Keep them separate. Okay, what was I saying? I don't remember. Oh, okay, people. I wish people would come to me and ask me about. You're very welcome. Feel free to ask another question if you got one. People need to come to me before adopting a dog. I had to tell this person to that I would think. I think it was. I think it's the right thing to return the dog. They just recently rescued an American Bulldog. They have two Chihuahuas and a Beagle, and um, it seems like zero to no control over the Beagle and or the two Chihuahuas. They admitted that the American Bulldog was humping the Beagle for the first week. They allowed that, um, and then the Beagle got into a fight with the American Bulldog, and then the American Bulldog got into a fight with the Chihuahuas over food that they left out. There's been a lot of snapping and growling, this and that, this and that, this and that. And I said, you know what? It's just probably best that you give the dog back because I know that with two Chihuahuas, oh, it's going to be a lot of work for them to get to the point where the fighting stops and all that mess stops. It's because small dogs take twice as long to change behavior versus a big dog. Small dogs, we tolerate a lot more behavior that we shouldn't because they're small. So therefore you have a lot more attitude to work through in order to keep them humble. So I said, this probably isn't the best situation for this dog, man. There's just too much work to be done, and I don't think you'd be willing to do it. So sometimes you got to have that hard conversation. As a trainer, obviously, maybe you would expect me to say, training, 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 training. It's like, nah, I'm being realistic here. Ain't no way you're going to work through those two Chihuahuas, that Beagle, and all the things. And the household is just so. I had to be upfront and say, hey, that dog is not going to do well in that situation. It's already put holes in your Chihuahua. So some people don't need to own certain breeds either. That's just being upfront as well. The American Bulldog they are inclined to be uh, dog aggressive. Great with humans. Um, Separation anxiety for sure. Uh, but they are inclined to be dog aggressive. So we have to know our breeds. Can't just adopt a dog because you think it's cute. Know our breeds, know our lifestyle, and what we're bringing the dogs in for, all that good stuff. Follow up question for separation. For separating from the baby, are you suggesting separate rooms for or same room but a good distance in a placehold? Not same room. Anywhere else but the same room. Not the same room. No. Um, Even if you have to use baby gates, that's fine. But not the same room. So anyway, American Bulldog separation anxiety. Uh, oh, one of the dogs attending the seminar on Saturday is an American Bulldog mix with dog aggression and anxiety. See, I know what I'm talking about. They're tough, man. They can be tough. Their anxiety can be very, very tough to deal with. Some of the toughest cases, separation anxiety that I've ever dealt with, American Bulldogs. They're so good with humans, like almost too good. Such babies. My last one was this female Sabrina Lou, and dog has freaking therapy dog, service dog written all over it. Therapy dog for sure, because she was just so gentle and and loving with humans, but dog aggressive for sure, and uh, anxious. When it came to new things, the dog would just shake, you know. So it was tough working through anxiety, but luckily that dog loved food, and you can get a dog to change its mood with food. Now, I say that with caution because it is a fine line between knowing when to feed and when not to, when to give treats and when not to give treats. Don't think I'm one of these trainers that don't give treats. And don't think I'm one of these trainers that just give treats. I'm sure you guys know that that ain't the case. But I do give treats in very specific times. And it would be very, very advisable for all of anybody who works with dogs in any capacity to learn when to distribute food, treats, because it can help a dog through their anxiety. If I have a dog who is shaking and I administer some food at the right time, it will get them to stop shaking. Um, the problem is, again, you don't want to have the dog working for the food. You still want the dog working for you, the human, because the food is not always going to be there. The human, the voice pressure, that's always going to be there. So once you recognize that, once you realize and you kind of experienced what I just talked about, then you should be training dogs. I gotta plug my computer in. The battery dies. So any of you guys have questions about what I just said, let me know. Or if any of you guys would like to, if you guys are in the, well, I don't care if you're in the Green Bay area or not, but if any of you guys would like me to show you what I'm talking about, then my place is always open. Did you guys see my new treadmill I have? It's a Great Dane treadmill. I mean, it's not a Great Dane treadmill. It's just a treadmill that Great Danes can fit on. It's awesome. I'm loving it. It's so quiet. My other treadmill was so freaking loud. It freaked out dogs. But this one is it's so quiet. No excuses now. So, so you guys have to kind of remind me sometimes of. Oh, never mind. Wait a minute. Hey, you, Emma, thank you for your shout out. I've been meaning to try and get your address so that I can send you a card. So I appreciate and thank you for that shout out and recommendation. And I hope your new dog is doing good. Feel free to bring the dog on pack walks when it gets warmer. Cheers to you, and RIP to the most handsome Malamute I have ever seen. Cheers. RIP Decker. Okay, Jeremy, our girl Hope was boarded with you last spring. Yes, she is difficult. We still have a few issues that we will need to contact you for in the near future. We're looking at our at an out of state trip for graduation party. Trying to figure out accommodations for our girls, but if you if not, do you have any recommendations on a board for a few days? We'd hate to risk leaving her with someone who has kids and leaving her with strangers. We'd hate to hear regrets. Yes, I do. So you should look up um, the Beckett School for Dog Trainers out of De Pere, Wisconsin. This woman named Stephanie, she can deal with dogs like Hope. I also have another recommendation. The lady that lets out my dogs may be able to help you. So just private message me. I can give you their information, and also make sure you send me the dates, and we can hopefully accommodate you. So let me know. Okay, what was I even talking about? I don't remember. Okay, let's see what we got. What can I do to get Sydney to honor a command? He will listen if he's rewarded with a treat, but it's time he just listened without the reward. What can I do to reinforce this? So we were just talking about that. We want to get our dogs to not listen to the treat, but listen to us. So you're going to have to add value, have to try to add value to your words with your physical consistency and training tools. So if I tell my dog to come and they don't come, then I have to go get them. And you can seem as irritated as you want. The more important thing is that you be yourself. Um, but if my dog does not come when I say come, I have to go get them. If they know that you're going to come get them, once they know that you're going to come get them, they will come to you. That's it. But if they know that they can blow you off three or four, five, six times, then they're going to do it. So, one chance. Come. Oh, you didn't come? I'm coming to get you. And then you can reprimand them while you're pursuing them. Something like, I told you to come I need you to come when I tell you to come, while you're pursuing them. It's much easier if you leave the leash on. That is a training tool. If you leave the leash on, you can easily get the dog to mind you. So, whatever you say, make it happen, no matter what. And then the dog will start to believe you. All right? I can also help with that too. Okay. All right, let's keep it moving. We've really gotten away from what our instincts tell us to do when it comes to teaching our dogs. If you're having problems with your dogs, man, it really is us that can get in the way of of them thriving, learning, whatever. So don't blame the dog. Take a look at yourself too, man. Are you able to get up off the couch two, three, four times to get the dog to stop barking in the window? Or you just say, or do you just say, oh, he's such an asshole, and then stop? You do have to convince that dog that what you want to happen is going to happen. And the beauty of what happens when you do that is that the dog learns that it doesn't have to bark its head off. But more important than that is exercise. We have to keep our dogs properly, physically, and mentally exercised before we can expect them to behave well. They'll listen better. They may come to you a lot better if they're properly exercised. Hell, they may not even have the energy not to listen to you. They're like, I'm gonna have to listen to this because I know they're coming and I'm too tired not to listen. So that's a very important factor. Exercise. It is the important factor. We definitely can't, again, expect our dogs to listen at a high level if they have not, if their needs have not been met. But we can't mistake their needs. We can't mistake their wants for their needs. What do they want? Affection is a want. I think people are going to be upset with that. They're going to be a little. Affection is a want. It's not a need. Affection can be more than just petting the dog and giving the dog massages. Who the heck? So, affection is something that can turn your dog into the devil. I'm just kidding. But exercise is important. That's a need. Food, giving the dog food is obviously a need. Time is obviously very important. But friendship, when teaching a young dog, is secondary to respect and trust, especially with a dog that is more inclined to become fearful in certain situations. So, affection is easy, takes no effort. Dog will come right on the couch for you, and you can just stroke them like you always do. That's easy. That's the easy part. The hard part is to get up and take a walk with your dog every day. Give them some socialization, give them some exercise. So that's what's missing. Also, dogs are overfed nowadays as well. I'm going to go ahead and question that too. This free feeding is not the way to feed your dog. It's not, it has nothing to do with them on a natural level. They don't free feed. They work for their food. So obesity is also a very big problem in the dog world, unfortunately. I feed my dogs once a day and I fast them at least once a month for 24 hours. And you can take a look at my dogs. You will see no ribs, you'll see no spine. I feed them the correct amount. And the correct amount is the amount that they look, they just look decent. Um, if I need to feed them more, I will. If I need to feed them less, they start to look fat, then I'll feed them less. But a lot of food is high in sugar too, which could help make the dogs more irritable. So the raw diet is the best diet if you can afford it. And then second is obviously a quality food with some sort of vitamin supplement with probiotics and prebiotics, stuff like that. All right. This isn't really a problem, but just curious. My dog doesn't take treats from strangers. She's friendly with them, but it is but is it just as simple as she just doesn't trust them? Well, what makes you think she's friendly with them? Because the definition of friendly to me means she'd have no problem taking treats from strangers. So what makes you think she's friendly? Just because she doesn't bite? Now, I'm just being devil's advocate here because there's a lot of people who think their dogs are friendly when they don't bite. But that doesn't mean they're friendly. That just means they're dealing with something they really don't want to deal with. They're dealing with being pet. You know what I'm saying? So, how about this? Why don't you tell me what she does when around strangers or when greeted with strangers? What's her body language? What's her ear position, tail position? Is she pulling towards the strangers with a happy, the way that she would, pull towards you if she saw you on a walk? Is it the same thing or is it more subdued? Let me know. Because German Shepherds too, they tend to do that, especially young ones. I always get these calls. The German Shepherds, oh well, you know what? When she was younger, she was backing away, and now she just bites. And I was and but and so we sort of mistake that backing away as, oh, she's not aggressive, she doesn't bite. But we don't, sort of, we should be recognizing that as dog doesn't really want to be pet right now because it's backing away. And then that backing away turns into growling when it gets bigger, turns into barking, and then sometimes it eventually turns into biting. So that's why I question, what your definition of friendly is, because friendly doesn't mean, you know, there's just a different definition of it. And like I said, German shepherds, they'll wait till you walk away sometimes. You know, you can be, I get a lot of calls that say, oh, we were sitting and chilling on the couch the whole time. And then when my guest got up to leave, he got a bite in the ass. German shepherds are known for that, man. They're going to wait till you back turn and then nip you in the butt. So we really got to do a better job at reading our dogs too, man. It's like You didn't see your dog staring. I guarantee the dog that bit someone in the ass was staring at them the entire time. And if your dog is staring at someone, then you should intervene. You should pretty much intervene at any behavior that seems to be obsessive or out of their control. You know, if a dog is staring at someone, your dog is staring at someone, you may want to question if the intentions of that stare, especially if they don't know him. Oh, he's fine. No, he's not. All right. Usually, uh, when we're on a walk, sometimes neighbors come out with treats. Usually, I just tell her to heel when people come up, so she'll just sit next to me. I'll have to pay more attention to that specific body language. Well, here's the deal. Like I said before, she will take the treat and then drop it. Yeah, so that means she's nervous. or or we can that's the best bet. The second best bet is she's just being a prissy B word. No, I'm kidding. Maybe. But okay, so yeah, I've had dogs do that. Dogs will do that if they're nervous. So maybe they're nervous. But then when we get home and I give her, she eats it. So it's not that she doesn't like it. Exactly. Yeah, that's the nerves. Some dogs, when they reach a certain level of nervousness, treats don't matter at all. They don't even care about treats, which is why going back to what I was talking about earlier, we have to learn how and when to distribute food so we're not just feeding dogs because fear will kill the appetite for some dogs. Okay, hello. When we tell Brandy to go lay down, it down doesn't matter where she is to lay down. Sometimes she'll go on her crate. Sometimes she'll lay in her cot. Thanks to be consistent. What is better? Um, Leave it up to you. I'll put my dog wherever I want them to be laying down. So if she decides to go on her crate, I have no problem with that. If she decides to go on her cot, I have no problem with that as long as there's not something, she's not doing that. If you feel she's doing that on purpose for some, you know, superficial reason, then I don't care. But dogs are smarter than we know, man. So she can be doing, it's just knowing your dog on a very intimate level. And most people don't get to reach that intimate level because they've never really challenged their own dog. You have you have to work your dog through adversity and challenges to actually really get to know what they need and what they want. It's very important. Um, it's very beneficial. So if we're just letting them do whatever they want, how do you know if they're barking when they need to be barking, or if they're barking because they just want to be barking? That's the power of leadership. Leadership allows you to learn your dog intimately so you can make good decisions when it comes to giving in or when it comes to standing up, because you should always give in to their needs. It's what they need to survive. But you give in to their wants and they just walk all over you and they take advantage of you. So, anywho, all right, you guys, I know you're probably sick of listening to me. So I'm going to end it now because it's 9 o'clock. But I appreciate you guys watching. Give me a thumbs up, heart, likes, whatever you want to do. We'll be here next week. Come with your questions and we'll help you out. Okay? Okay, thanks. Bye.